nothing but faith. There's things far too great that I want to accomplish. I'm hoping 25 hours a day, but something good works out, and I'm just like, dang. Think everything's gonna be okay. Yeah, I'm like, dang. Think you might just know the way. I'm like, dang.
Welcome to Dang.
Dang.
Today,
I'm Todd Bridges.
yes, and I'm Bettijo Bridges. And today we have a guest with us, so-called hope dealer Christin Day from Crossroads Addiction Treatment Center and Recovery on Air podcast is with us.
Yes. I'm
And
so
Christin
excited.
has over 7 years in recovery.
I do.
So how did you earn the name Hope Dealer?
So I went from a dope dealer to a hope dealer.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, but I give hope out for free. I don't
Nice.
charge.
You don't charge for that.
Not at all. Not at
nice.
all.
No one owes
Yeah.
you something later, which is good.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what was the turning point for you when you knew you had to make a change in your life?
Honestly, it was, I had already lost my kids. My rights were severed. My daughter was adopted. My other two, like my son was raised by my parents, and the other one I had given up for adoption as well. So my family had really just wrote me off. And finally in 2017, it was like, either I'm going to die with a needle in my arm or I'm going to get my shit together. And I didn't want to live like this anymore.
So you were dealing and using. Yeah, was doing something similar to that.
Yep.
too. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's-
But then it gets to the point where
Yeah.
like you're getting high on your own supply
Oh,
and
yeah,
are you
that's
really
exactly
even making money?
Yeah,
Like,
we're not doing the Tony Montana thing.
Right.
Exactly. We weren't listening to what was supposed to happen.
Right.
Oh yeah, I definitely did.
yeah, it's great. So, but yeah, like I said, it was just, my family had really just washed their hands of me and they were tired of my shit. So getting into it, it's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. How long did it take you to make amends to your family?
Oh gosh, I still make amends to my family, you know, like, it is a little difficult because, there was a lot of resentment that I had towards my sister for taking my daughter and adopting her. But now that I've really worked through some things and done some extensive therapy, I'm grateful that she did take my daughter. And because I don't know where I would be or where my daughter would be,
Oh yeah.
based on that.
Yeah.
And she's raised an amazing little girl, so my daughter still keeps me at arm's distance.
Oh,
My
yeah.
other two I'm really close with, but my youngest, because she's seen a lot in the wrath of like the abuse and the drugs, and so she's, very still.
Yeah, it will take time.
It
Definitely,
does.
that's for sure. It's like I've got 32 years in the program,
Right.
and it took at least, I would say, 10 to 11 years before they started trusting me again. Because I remember when I first got sober, I was like a year and a half, 2 years sober, and I finally got out of sober living, and I was staying at my mom's house down in the basement, and an ambulance went by, and I felt somebody coming down, and my mom, she was looking to make sure I was there now. And you don't realize the damage you've done until you start really seeing it for yourself.
For sure.
Yeah. And it was like when the other interesting part was when I was 7 months sober, the judge decided to send me to Chino Facility Prison to show me what it was like while I was sober, what it would be like to be in jail. And I was
Kind of
like, oh,
scared
my God.
straight type
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It really worked on me. The
Absolutely.
judge really had my back, and he really helped me, and he kept me on probation for like 4 years. And I could have been off it in a year, but he was like, no. So I kept coming to court just to show people that you can stay sober.
Absolutely.
So you got 7 years recovery now. What's helped you stay on the path so long?
Honestly, like being able to shed light and like let people know that we do recover from this, but it does take work. Like this isn't going to be handed to you on a silver platter. You have to put in that work.
Oh yeah.
I always say like I chase the dope man is how I chase my recovery. And today, like my lifestyle is from sun up to sundown is recovery. I practice, I eat, I do all the things that I have to. You know, I do meetings. I sponsor way too many girls. I'm learning to find balance and saying no right now because we do spread ourselves too thin.
Yeah.
And we want to try to help everybody, but we can't. So that's what I'm learning this year, is to really find some balance and not say yes to everything. And it's okay if I miss some stuff because now I'm putting that time in to do things with my family and stuff that I wasn't able to do before. So
how long did it take? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think that you bring up such an interesting point with talking about the balance and the boundaries. We were just talking a little bit before we started the show about how it is so easy. Like, I think a lot of people can relate to addiction if they think about the things that they end up leaning into a little bit too much, right?
Absolutely.
Like that we are chasing that, like, I'm going to help as many people as possible because there is something we get out of that as well. So it's like you have to be careful to find that balance so you're not just trading addiction to one thing for another. I mean, you've got people addicted to their work, to their, all kinds of different things. And they may not frame it in that way because maybe that thing that they're doing compulsively isn't necessarily damaging their life in the same way, but it's still.
But it can be. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get in touch with your real feelings? Because for me, it took a while to really understand what I was feeling.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to really start to understand your feelings?
Honestly, I'm going to say probably about 5 years sober is when it really hit me. Like 5 years sober was a really big pivotal moment. I masked all these feelings that I was, I felt so good and I was comfortable in my own skin, but I wasn't. Like I hated who I looked at. I had gained 100 pounds getting sober and I was just miserable. And, my husband's like, when he married me, he's like, I married you for who you are. And I love the way that you are. I wish that you could see yourself in my eyes. But as addicts, like we don't see that, And so I had a gastric bypass. Actually, 3 years ago was, it just happened April 18th. So that was my 3-year mark. And that was like a pivotal moment of like changing my life. And really I dove into like getting into therapy and starting to feel these things because I was holding on to so much.
Oh, yeah.
And then in January of 2024, I got baptized with my stepdaughter, and that was a huge moment. Was like going under that water and like washing off all that stuff that was holding me down for so long.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like that's when I really got in tune with my feelings.
Yeah, it's important for me to always like for me, I have to know what I'm feeling, and sometimes I will shut down to figure out what I'm really feeling. Why am I feeling that?
Right.
And should I be angry? Should I not be angry? And then it's okay to be angry, but it's not okay to act out of your anger.
Right.
So it took a while for me to figure that out. Because
do you still have times where it's hard for you to like express how?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Because I'm like,
it's been 32 years and I still have that problem.
My husband
sometimes
is
I cannot
like,
express how I'm really feeling, and it drives her crazy. But I'm like, I don't know it. I gotta wait to see. It takes a couple of days for me to figure out what I'm because I realize that once you realize your brain is broke,
right?
And it's broken a while ago. You realize that it takes a little time to figure out, okay, what am I really feeling? What am I really mad at? And then what I figured out is sometimes I'm more mad at myself for how I reacted to how I shouldn't have reacted. I should have reacted differently. But it takes time to figure that out.
Yeah.
But the more that I'm probed to how I'm feeling, the more angry I get because I can't express it. It's just not there.
Me too. Me too. And that's like my husband is very in tune with his feelings. He's a very emotional person.
Yeah.
He knows how to express his feelings. So like I'm grateful for our therapist because she kind of like mediates it because I'm the same way. Like he's like, why are you feeling like this? What is it making you feel? I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop it now, And he's like, but why? Is it triggering you? Like, what is it? And I'm like, no, like I just need a minute. Like I feel suffocated and like I need to breathe and like I just want to throat punch you right now.
So it's almost like those emotions and feelings were like turned off.
Yes.
They were
For
turned
so
off.
long.
Yep.
Yeah.
That when you turn them on again, it's just like
Yeah,
trying to-
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we use drugs and alcohol
Yeah.
to like suppress them
Yeah.
and numb them.
Yeah.
So
and that's why like I got high when I was feeling good. I got high when I was feeling bad. I got high when I was mad. I got high when I was happy.
Yep.
So it was always a reason why.
reason.
So when I finally got in touch with my real feelings, I had to figure out what they were.
Right.
Because they were so masked for so long. I
Yeah,
didn't know
like
what
the
they were.
signals had gotten so jumbled.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely, the sky is blue today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get high.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yes. It's raining. I'm getting high.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
We're staying in today.
Can you take us back to kind of how it started for you? How did
my
you
gosh.
get into that?
Getting into drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
So it really started at like 13. I was a band geek and I was a follower. Like I just wanted to be like everybody else and fit in. The group of girls that I had, hung out with, they were like Billy badasses and they were having sex and smoking weed and all the things. And I just wanted to be a part of that. So I started smoking weed, and then of course that led to drinking, and then my thing again, like sex. I get pregnant. I drink the water, I get pregnant. I walk by you, I get pregnant. You look at me, I get pregnant, and I ended up pregnant at 14, and I had an abortion, and then I got pregnant again at 16, and that was a moment where I was like, okay, we're going to clean up our life. We're going to, get it together. And I had met the guy that got me pregnant. Like I love him. He's the love of my life. And he's 19 and I'm 16. And I told my parents that I wanted to keep the baby and they allowed me to. And they allowed me to get married. So I got married at 16 and that was, that was a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Mine was totally. I fell into addiction, and I've always had that. I guess that in me.
Mm-hmm.
But I started out. I tried weed, and I didn't like it. So I was voted most likely not to do drugs. I was
Really?
like, oh yeah, I was hard on everything.
Yes.
I was like, no way, blah, blah. But I didn't know how much feelings I had suppressed inside of me. I didn't
Right.
realize that. And I was one day fixing the carpet in my house, and I decided to take it out because if I took the carpet out, well, first of all, after seeing Scarface,
Yes.
I bought this house that belonged to a drug dealer. So my addiction led me right to where, down the path that we're supposed to. I get this house, I'm tearing up the carpet, and I find a bag of white powder. Don't know what it is.
Don't know
but
what
I'm
it
like,
is,
What
but
is
we
this,
gonna
man?
find
My
out.
friend's like, man, it's cocaine. You do it. And once I went, it was like all the feelings that were gone. I didn't feel angry, sad, mad, because I was, because I've gone through so much with the police department, so much
Right.
with racism, and so it took everything away.
yeah.
Wasn't feeling it anymore. But, I think my parents never really explained to me that addiction properly.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tell my kids, you use drugs, this is gonna happen, this is
Right.
gonna happen. My mom was like, don't do drugs, why not? Because we said not to. That's
Right.
not a good enough
That's not a
explanation.
good-
So of
We're
course, it
kids.
led
We
me-
wanna
yeah,
fuck-
exactly.
we wanna test
led me
stuff out.
right down
Yeah.
the road,
Yeah.
and then always for me it was always the skirt that got me. The skirt always got me. If
Gotcha.
the skirt was doing drugs, like yes, she's gorgeous, I can get her. Let's give her
Let's
drugs, and I'll have
go.
fun. And then there I was.
get it.
And my addiction was only 5 years. People thought that my addiction was a lot longer, but it wasn't. It was only really 5 years.
Wow.
And I was able to get. I started at 20. I got sober at 26.
Yeah.
But back then, it wasn't cool to be sober.
Right.
People looked at us like we were the scourge of the earth.
Right.
Like today, people applaud you. Oh, you're
Yes.
sober. Oh,
Oh,
God,
God.
wonderful. When I got sober, it's like, oh man, you're a terrible person. And alcoholics did not like us saying we're alcoholic addicts.
No.
They used to get so pissed.
Some
But
of them
we-
still do.
Yeah, but we say it anyway. We used to say it anyway. We don't care. We're like, we're alcoholic addicts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. No.
Definitely.
You find a little of them
Yeah.
here and there. So I try to stay away from those ones because what is out there in the world right now, it's
Exactly,
like
yeah.
everybody's dying. Like we're all
yeah.
the same. You know what I mean? Like why are we trying to, oh, you can only say this.
That's
you
right.
can't say that.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're here to help people.
I ran
Yeah.
sober
Such
living houses for 5 years.
Oh, awesome.
And I worked with the Santa Monica court. We used to get people in.
Yes.
And the great part about the judges were they knew I was sober, and they were like, if Todd can get you sober, nobody can. And so I used to get people in there, and then I used to have to race to the courthouse before their parents beat me and tried to lie and manipulate the court. And I would show them all the documentation that I did. And he'd go, man, you don't want to be sober, so you have to go to jail. And he's like, well, he didn't do enough. He goes, no, let me start reading you what all he did. And he starts reading everything, and then they would be so embarrassed, and their parents will apologize later.
Yeah.
But I hated sending people to jail, but it was like, man, if you're not gonna get it, that's where you're gonna have to go
Sometimes
to
people
learn.
need it.
Yeah.
That's where I went and learned. So
Yeah.
But
And the same thing. My husband, he went to county jail for a year, and it saved his life.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
saved my life. I always say the
So-
boot in the butt by the judge saved my life. And my
sure.
judge was actually in the program, which really helped.
That's awesome.
And I remember my first seeing that, because I think I went to 5 or 6 rehabs before I got sober.
Okay.
Because I never went there for myself. It was always
it
for
was for
somebody
somebody
else.
else.
Yeah, it was like, oh, this girl wants me to go. So I went. My mom wants me to go. My brother wants me to go. But it was never for me.
Yeah.
And it was that last time I remember before I went, the good thing my mom never gave up on me. She was at the courthouse with this guy, and they were like, you're going to go to treatment tonight? And I'm like, oh, okay. 7 o'clock. And I was like, well, if I'm going to treatment tonight, I'm going to do all I can. And
Tonight.
sure enough, I bought $1,000 worth of all I can. And because I didn't want to have any excuses. I didn't want to have, I wanted to be able to go in there and say, okay, I've done everything I could possibly do. It's time to get sober.
For sure.
And I even got out of the business for like 5 years. I just got out. I was like, I don't want anything to do with this business right now until I get completely sober. And, being sober is not easy either.
No.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lifestyle change.
It is a
for
lifestyle
sure.
change. And it's a friend change.
Yes.
You change a lot of your friends. And
People,
that's,
places, and things.
Yeah, me moving to Arizona, I don't have a lot of friends here. So,
Gotcha.
it's definitely a change, but I've learned to develop friends like over the internet. And,
For sure.
I haven't found any meetings that I really like here yet. I haven't found that yet. So I'm still
I'll show
trying
you
to
some
find them.
meetings.
Yeah, you have to let me
Yeah,
know.
I'm
Definitely.
plugged in everywhere, so I would love to.
I don't like clicky meetings.
I got you.
Yes,
I got
because
you.
in LA, even in LA, I didn't like clicky meetings. I would always find the meetings that weren't clicky.
Right.
You have the people who are friends, and they're like, oh, what are you doing here? I didn't like that kind of meeting.
Yeah,
I've always thought that meeting should be there to help the newcomer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think it's interesting in your story that it was the motivation there was to fit in. And I think that is such a powerful, especially you talk about as a teen, 13, 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
That is such an important need they have to
Right.
feel like they're fitting in. What advice do you give now to people you come across in that
Honestly,
age group?
like I'm super open with my kids today just because I don't want them to ever, follow down the same footsteps that I went through. And like, it doesn't matter if you fit in. Like, be your own person, be unique, that's why I am the way I am. Like, my piercings, my tattoos, like, I stand out and it makes me feel good. And it's okay to be unique and your own person. So that's a big thing. And then just letting people know that they're not alone in this. That is the biggest thing is I always say, like, I recover out loud so that others don't die in silence.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I love that.
because there are a lot of people out there. Yesterday, I got to go speak in front of 80 ASU students that are in a nursing program, and just giving them a different perspective on addiction. So we had them write like descriptors of like what they thought about addiction, and like there were a lot of negative stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, like their perspective on things had changed to where they were like, wow, like you are somebody's mother or sister or friend or daughter. Like it's just showing that person empathy and compassion and letting them know that they're not alone through this.
Yeah.
And being a healthcare provider, it can be hard. We do get a little jaded sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, when I was working in admissions in Crossroads, God, I can tell you, I
Oh,
wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
shake the hell
I
out
worked
of
at a
them.
rehab, too.
How many
It's
times
terrible,
are going to take you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
But I used to
So-
tell people, I was like, I said, you go out. If you're not ready,
Go
go
out
out come back, and you may not make it back, but good luck. Have a good day. You know,
let me know how it goes.
Yeah, because it's not going to change.
Call me when you're ready.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's a hard part about it, is like watching them go back and back and back. But it could be that one time that you've planted that seed, and they're like, today it clicked. It was like me, like 2015, I got sober, and I was like, I was doing everything right. I had everything lined up. I was 3 weeks away from my reunification date with my daughter, and I got cocky, like, I got this. I don't have shit, and I'm 7 years sober. Like, I got cocky about going to meetings. I got cocky about going, and sponsoring girls. And I ended up 3 weeks away, and I ended up with a needle in my arm, and I lost my daughter. And my rights were severed, and she was adopted. Now, granted, like, I have done a lot of work for that in, like, forgiving myself and stuff, but I had to go through those things to get where I am today. Yeah. And now I have 2 bonus children, thanks to my husband and getting married with him. We have the opportunity to raise both of his kids. We have full custody, and I get to be the mom that I was supposed to be. But I did have to go through those trials and tribulations to get where I am today. So
I just wish that mine wasn't so public.
Right. And that's really got to be hard.
Because everyone knew your business.
Right.
It was like, you get arrested for a mistake you made, you're all over TV, and you're like, then you're trying to watch a show to feel a little bit better about yourself, and all of a sudden they bring up a joke on you, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Then you feel worse about yourself again. So I think that was the toughest part for me, was trying to get sober in the public eye.
I can only imagine. Tough, and then the lies that are made up too.
There was this one lie that was hysterical. My sponsor and me were in the elevator going somewhere. We're going to a meeting. And this guy was like, yeah, man, I was out yesterday getting high with Todd Bridges, man. And my sponsor was like, you were? He's like, yeah, man, I was getting high. My sponsor had been together for the whole week. He's like, yeah, man, we was getting high together. We was doing this. And my sponsor's like, really? Wow, that's amazing. Because he's standing right next to you. And I was like, you're such a liar.
You're a liar.
But that's the things that will happen.
For sure.
Yeah, they make up lies, but and the media just persecuted me.
Yeah.
They just like I'm the only one out there doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there are so many people, like, in our business and outside the business. There's more people outside the business than it is in our business.
For sure.
And I try to explain that to people. Like, they try to blame child stars for everything. I'm like, that is just not the case. So I tell people, for every one you name me that has problems, I'll name you 40 that haven't.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But they just stigmatize it with that.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you're wearing your Crossroads shirts.
Yes.
Tell us what role Crossroads has played in your...
So I am the communications and outreach manager. I have the best job in the world because I get to do social media, and I get to make TikToks, and I get to do the podcast. I'm their news spokesperson if we're on the news or anything. So honestly, it's the best job ever.
How long have you been working there?
I've been working there almost a year now. Okay. I did work there before in 2019, 2020. So I was an admissions coordinator, and I worked the front desk first, and then I got, admissions coordinator. And that was really cool too. And like going through the whole COVID thing, like that was a lot, because we never closed our doors. We stayed open and helped a lot of people. So we're one of the biggest treatment centers here in the Valley. I mean, in Arizona for sure. We have 578 beds, and
that's a lot.
Throughout the Valley. So it's big.
Are a lot given to county people too?
Absolutely.
They need it? Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yep. We work with the jails and the prisons, and absolutely. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so many things are, even there's so many crimes connected to addiction that people don't understand.
Right.
If you can get these people sober, you can keep them out breaking in your house.
For sure.
People don't get that.
And that's where I'm at today, is like, yes, the meetings, I still go to meetings. I have my set meetings that I go to, but where my real passion is right now is going into the jails and the prisons. So Sundays I take a meeting into the jail to the girls at Estrella, and then typically on Tuesdays once a month I go out to Perryville and take a meeting to Lumley, which is one of their max yards, and the lifers are there. So Jody Arias and everybody,
Yeah, I spent time around lifers when I was in Chino. It's interesting.
It is. It is. But they need help too.
Yeah,
you
they
know
do.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of drugs going on in the in the system too. So
Yeah. I remember being in there, and the guards were like, "You'll be back, Bridges." I'm like, "No,
I won't."
You will? I'm like, "No."
Yep.
I got a case of act right. I ain't
Right.
coming back, and I haven't been back since.
Good.
32 years. So it's interesting that there is a lot of stuff going on in the jails, and a lot of people that are in jails are thinking about when they get out, I'm gonna do this lick, and I'm like, man, I'm going to a meeting.
I have a friend that tells me he goes into prison to learn how to be a better convict.
Oh yeah, for sure. They definitely teach you how to be a better criminal when you're in there.
They are definitely opening up more programs though, like our
Yeah.
director of the prisons and stuff, like Dr. Thornell, he's really trying to reimagine corrections.
Yeah, and that definitely has to happen.
It does.
Because it's, there's, I would say maybe more than 50% are in there because of drugs, and they just need, if they can get a program and stay sober, they won't end up reoffending.
Absolutely.
They can find a better life, but it just takes time.
It does.
It does.
And work. Like
yes.
time and work.
Yeah.
You have to put in that work though, and that's what I say like all the time. This stuff isn't going to be handed to you on a silver platter.
No.
So
you have to do the work, and the
sure.
work can be very painful at times and very emotional.
Nobody wants to look at themselves.
No.
I want to take inventory on everybody else and tell
Of
them how
course.
fucked up they are, not me.
That's the big thing. That's for sure.
So what do you think people outside of addiction, or like your family or friends, what do you wish that they understood about addiction?
So honestly, like my family has really like started really like watching and learning. My mom started going to Al-Anon when I was, getting sober and stuff.
Which that's the meeting for family and friends.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's when they learn how to cut you off.
Yes. I'm like,
Make
who
you
the
pay-
hell
yeah.
is teaching her this tough
make
love
you pay.
shit?
Yeah, make you pay for it. That's what my mom did. When my mom went to Al-Anon, she was like, okay, next time you go to jail, don't call me.
Right.
I'm like, well, I got to call, because that was always my out.
Yeah,
my
I've
supporter
been to
and
an
enabler.
Al-Anon for sex addicts' wives.
Okay.
I've been to one of those meetings.
Not
I know
for
what those
me.
are like.
I'm like, not me. Don't make sure you
He said,
clarify that it's not me.
But yeah, no,
those are like-
I just like that, like my family is involved and they, are super supportive on what I'm doing in my recovery. Like my mom, she praises me every day. My stepdad, him and I did not have like a good relationship growing up. And like, for 35 years, he was just like, you're a fuck up. Like you've thrown your life away. And now he looks at me and he's like, I love you. And I am so proud of you for what you're doing. And I'm like, it's those little words that mean a lot.
Yeah.
It'll take.
That they recognize the work that it is and how hard
And the
it
longer
has
it
been.
goes on, then all the things you've ever done wrong disappears.
Right.
Because it's like, they don't even see that anymore in me.
Yeah.
But you have to show up. Mm-hmm. It's like, you have to be consistent with them.
Yep.
Never be late.
Right.
That's why I'm so hard on being late. It drives me crazy. I got to be on time. Because I think for me, it takes me back to a place I don't want to be.
Right.
Where I wasn't showing up, where I was, because I even missed a job one time. And I missed court one time. Oh, I'll never forget that. That judge got me good. Mm-hmm. This was in 1989 when I wasn't quite sober yet.
Yeah.
And I missed court.
Oops.
And the judge, Florence Me Cooper, was pissed.
He put a failure to appear on you?
She goes, so she got me and she goes, okay, so you're going to show up every single day in my court, Monday through Friday, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. until we close. And you're going to get sober inside of here. And I'm like, what do you mean? So she goes, or you can go back to jail. I was like, nah. So I was showing up in there. I'd be falling asleep. Like, wake up, Mr. Bridges. I'm like, oh, okay.
Here I am.
And then, and you would have thought after that, I'd have learned my lesson. No.
That wasn't enough, huh?
No, I had to go back out and experiment more.
Me too.
And experimentation, it finally led to going to Chino. And then finally I was like, this is it. I'm done.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. So.
Well, what gives you hope today, and how do you pass it along?
Honestly, hope today is just, gosh, I have so many things. Just being able to open my eyes and breathe fresh air and know that I'm sober and that I don't have to take something to make me feel better. And that, you know, my family and friends are, you know, there for me and support me through all this. So that's a big part, is just having that support system. And
what gives you the joy now? What is it that generates those good feelings? It's not the drugs anymore. What is it?
No. Oh gosh, it's everything. Like being a mom, being a wife, like all those things. Being an advocate for, you know, addiction. And that is like my passion, really.
Yeah.
And then going into the jails and the prisons, like I said, like I love that stuff. That stuff like really fires me up, and getting to you know, show people that it does work.
Yeah.
It does.
It does work. if you
I
work
kind
it.
of see too in your story. I've loved you sharing your story. Thank you so much for doing that.
Absolutely.
And what I really see here is, you know, you kind of started off by telling us, you know, where you had been and how bad it had gotten, and losing your kids and all of those kinds of things. And then I see how committed you are to the recovery and how big of a part of your life your recovery effort is. And I can't help but think about like how, you know, they say that everything kind of has its opposite, that equal and opposite reaction, and that it's like to go so deep
Right.
that I think people that may expect that they can just do this little bit to get into recovery, but it's like, look how deep you were.
Yeah.
And then you look at your life and it's like, you know, I really have to dig in that equal amount this way to be able to hold on.
Yeah.
You know, like that you have to see. There's something about that visualization. It just seems like you're such a good example of that.
Thank
that it's
you.
like this. If I am this deep, then I've got to really climb out.
Well, you have
and
to
clean.
chase
And it
the
has-
drugs
Yes.
as
Right.
hard as you chased.
Right.
Yes.
It has to take up as
Chase
much
the program
space
so you
in my
chase the
life,
drugs.
the recovery,
Yes.
and I just love all the ways that you're using it to help people.
Thank you.
I think that's a key point in like your recovery story
Oh, yeah.
too. The time that you spent in the sober living houses. Like I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
That it's taking, like giving back is part of the program. And I think
Absolutely.
it's not just it's because it's nice and it furthers. It's like, no, it's literally part
if you
of it.
don't give back, you
Right.
can't keep it. That's what
You
I'm
need
saying.
to fill up
You
your
got to
life
give what was
with
freely
these-
given to
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they say that in the program. But like
yeah.
my thing is just being vulnerable and letting, you know, like I was a shot out junkie, stealing motorcycles, stealing cars out here, running amok. And now I am doing all this. I'm modeling. I'm part of a pageant. I walked in New York Fashion Week last year. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm a shot out junkie. If I show you my picture, you'd be like, woo! You know, like those are the things. But again, it's putting in that work to get where I am today. And if I wasn't vulnerable enough to say these things, maybe somebody listening can be like, oh my God, she's went through it too.
Yes.
Oh my God, she uses men too. Like she has an addiction to men just like I do. You know,
She clearly
it's
gets it.
normal.
Yes.
It's
I always
Yeah.
tell people that that Bill W. said something very powerful. And for me, it was, you know, I couldn't get sober until I found God. And I tell people, you know, you can find that doorknob,
right.
but that doorknob's not going to help you when you really need it.
No.
For me, it was like, I remember when I was only like 6 months sober. And like I said, girls were a big part of my
Right.
using. And I remember I saw this girl that I knew, and she looked great. And I was getting off the bus because they had took my license from me. I couldn't drive, so I took the bus. I didn't care. I took the bus
Yeah.
to meetings. I was going to get there one way or another.
Yes.
So I remember I got off the bus, and I turned around and saw her, and she started talking to me, and I was like, God, you got to help me. You got to help me because this is where I can slip. And all of a sudden, I started running, and I just ran. And I ran all the way to the treatment place. And I was like, wow. And that's, you know, God came, and I've always said, doorknob, help me. I'd have
Yeah.
been, you know, I probably really relapsed.
Right.
But it was the fact that God got my legs moving and kicking, and I ran, you know, and
For
and
sure.
it was amazing, you know, that. And I tell people, you know, you better find God in this, or you're not going to stay sober. I tell people that all the time. God is the only way you're going to stay sober.
Yeah, you got to do whatever it takes, even if it's just running away.
Oh, well, it wasn't me running away. God made my legs run. Because if it was up to me, I'd have stayed there
Right.
and ended up all messed up.
I get it. Believe me. So
Well,
Well, thank you. Well, now it's time. Thank you so much for being on our
absolutely.
show. We really appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much.
And we have at this point where I talk about ToddFlix, and this is my ToddFlix. Right now, I'm talking about The Last of Us. I don't know if anybody's watching that show, but it's an amazing show. Went on to the second season, and I'm on the second episode, and I'm not going to tell you what happens, but it's tragic, and it's crazy, and if you know the video game, then you will know the show.
Well, so tell us the premise of the show.
The premise of the show is some kind of fungus has gotten. It's based on the video game. There's like a
pandemic, right?
It's a pandemic, but it's a fungus, and it turns people into these weird kind of creature zombies, but they're all connected. They're connected. Like, if you were to kill one, it could spur all the rest of them to come get you.
Oh, it's like those trees or the forest
It's
where it's
kind of
like,
like,
all know.
yes,
Okay.
it's all connected. So, and the craziest part about it is that, like I said, second episode.
In the second season.
Second
say
season.
It.
I'm not going to say what happens.
So tell us what has happened, because isn't there's two main...
There's two main characters in the thing. There's the little girl that's...
She's like 14,
She's
right?
like 14, and it's okay to know that she's impervious to bites. If she gets bitten, she's not going to change. And then you have a guy who's taking care of her and trying to get her to a place to make her survive. But then you always have the bad people in it who are trying to like dissect you and take you apart, and he's keeping you away from that.
It's from this girl.
From this girl,
something special about her, right?
Something special about her. But what makes it really fun to watch is the plants how they communicate. Like, they could be sitting there, laying down, and then you can see they're kind of creatures. And then all of a sudden one comes in and starts making noise. They're trying to find you because they're blind too. They find you by movement. Yeah, they find you by movement, and they make noises to find you. You know, and then they find you, and you're moving, they find you. But it's just fun to watch. It's a fun roller coaster. If you like scary shows and scary things and fun things, this is a show to watch. The Last of Us.
Cool, The Last of Us.
It's on HBO.
Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey.
Yes.
That's the
Fantastic to
ToddFlix
watch.
pick of the week.
Yes.
Well, dang.
Do
you want to say dang, Christin?
Dang.
Dang. See, that's my wife. She doesn't want to curse, so she says dang.
Dang. I love it.
Actually, a lot of people say dang.
Dang.
They really do.
I say more than just dang sometimes. So
Yeah.
Me too. Me too.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Dang is produced by my wife, Bettijo Bridges, in collaboration with Star Worldwide Network Studios, and edited by our daughter, Adelie Ann.
She's also the musician responsible for our theme music, so go check out Adelie Ann wherever you stream your music. Have a question or topic you want us to cover? Send us your suggestions at dangpodcast.com.
Do me a favor. Please subscribe and rate our podcast to make it easier for others to find. Have a great week.
Yeah,